Mila, Grigg, thank you so much for having me here today. It's an honor to be here. My company is MODA Image and Brand Consulting, and we help individuals and companies to discern what their brand is. So if you walk into a room, what do people think within a quarter of a second about you? Whether they see you, hear you on the phone, they see an email communication that you've written, what are those 3 to 5 key attributes that people think about you? Think of Margaret Thatcher. You know, people across the country in certain seminars will think basically the same 3 to 5 key words. Nelson Mandela, basically the same 3 to 5 key words. So we help individuals to establish their personal brand, and that is done through either communication, image, fashion, etiquette, all of the above. So when you are a business owner, whether you are at the market, whether you are with your kids on the soccer field, or of course doing business, your image, your communication, and your value is consistent.
I am Martha Ervin. I am one of the co-owners of Ervin Hypnosis Center in Memphis, Tennessee. We help people to achieve their goals through the use of hypnosis. We do both group and individualized sessions. But I'm also here today as the first Vice President of Business and Professional Women of Tennessee. We are an organization that began in 1920 after the formation of the National Organization Business and Professional Women in 1919. And we have, through the years, assisted women with achieving equity through education, advocacy, and information. We have workshops on how to do individual development. We go to Nashville annually for the Day of the Hill event to support legislative acts that will help with women's rights, and we do some scholarship funding for formal education.
I'm Dianne Dixon. I'm an architect in Memphis, and I've been the owner of my business now for 26 years. Most of my work is done in the public realm through the state contracts, public contracts, and public projects. I'm one of the very few women-owned certified businesses in Memphis. I was one of the first. I've also been very active in the state of Tennessee's goals for women in employment and procurement. As such, I have found a very wonderful group to participate with, among other things that you do, and that is NAWBO, which is the National Association of Women Business Owners. It's an umbrella support group for women in all kinds of businesses, whether you're construction, service-oriented products, whatever. We will give you the resources you need. We will be your support group. We will be your friend and advocate when you need. We're there for you. So I'll just stop right there.
I'm Kimble Bosworth. I'm the President and COO of Proforma Print Intelligence. We are a promotional agency without the fees. We stick a logo on anything that doesn't breathe, and we help grow your brand through really innovative marketing practices. I am also the immediate past president of the National Association of Women Business Owners in Nashville. Unfortunately for y'all, we've already covered what NAWBO does. So I'm just here as a sounding board for NAWBO as well, and have the luxury of helping lots of small businesses grow their business as well as being a certified small business myself, until I talk to Michelle and get myself to age out of that group by becoming a $23 million business, which I'd really like to do.
Good morning again. I am Brigitte Jones, and I serve as Director of Legal Services for the State of Tennessee Department of Human Resources. My prior role was Employment Law Counsel with Department of Human Resources, and before that, I served as Counsel and Contracts Director for the Department of Economic and Community Development. I am here today in my role as Vice President of Political Planning for the Tennessee Women's Political Caucus.
Okay, I'm going to start with the same question I started with Tennessee, 17th in the nation, 4th in the region, women starting businesses but not sustaining them or growing. So, how do we do that? What are the top 3 things that you think women business owners can do to, or the state or any entity can do to help us move from that position of 17th and 4th and be a grow sustainable businesses and sustainable employers? And Kimble, we're going to start with you.
I told you to.
That's really mean, because people don't want to follow me. All right. I don't know if this is 3 things or not, y'all tell me. First thing, and this is the secret, if you walk away from here with nothing other than this, who in this room is a hugger? Go snuggle up to one of those people you saw on this first panel and make friends with them.
Relationships.
They are your resources. That's my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice, and I'm a little unfiltered sometimes, I'm going to try to keep it clean.
Oh, wow.
I am sick and tired of people waiting for it to come to them. Go and get it. Don't wait for it. Own it. Own that you deserve it, and stop being humble about it, please. Just go grab it, because it is not coming to you.
Hard to follow her.
Grab your own, girl.
Yeah, because she makes good statements there. You have to educate yourself. You have to, one of the things that I've recently read in some of Napoleon Hill's works is you have to take time every day to educate yourself on whatever it is. If you want to be the best in your field, you need to sit down and you need to educate yourself daily on what you're doing. And this is one of the takeaways that I've had today. I don't look at my business plan like I should, and I know better. So now I have to sit down with a calendar and say, you're going to spend 15, 20 minutes every day to at least evaluate what did you do for your business today, and how did you help it grow?
My first piece of advice would be to find a business mentor if you do not already have one. I have mentors for lots of areas in my life, and if you're a seasoned business owner or new, you need to have a mentor, somebody you can bounce ideas off of. The second thing would be, like Martha said, to invest in yourself. Put time in every single day towards getting better at what you do or what you want to do. And lastly, everything is about building relationships. I cannot stress that enough. So align yourselves with people who think like you, even people who don't think like you. Attend as many business-focused events and even other events, because you never know who you might meet. So,
I'd say the first and best piece of advice I could give that I've received, that know what your company does, but know the company brand. A company who doesn't know who it is cannot properly communicate services. So a lot of times you'll hear those elevator speeches and people simply cannot within 15 to 30 seconds communicate what their company does and who they are. And that is like a person who doesn't know their purpose, that you can't fulfill a purpose that's unknown to you in life. Your business cannot fulfill the services if you can't properly communicate what your services are succinctly, directly, and the second part of that is your personal brand. Know who you are, have a brand filter so that everything you do is consistent. For example, if you say you are a compassionate person, yet you meet people and you're networking today, you're compassionate. That means you're paying attention to the person in front of you. If you are networking, you're compassionate, right? That's part of your brand. That's who you are. That's what you say you are. But your eyes are darting around the room while someone is speaking to you. Inconsistent communication on every level. So everything that you do, be consistent. And the third piece is, I think that lack of focus on growth planning is probably what I see the most. It's something that Lane said, I think playing off of that, give priority to building relationships with bankers before you have a need for capital before you have that need. It was something that at first I was intimidated to do, because you walk in and they go, how much have you made? And you go, nothing, because I am broke, right? But you still have the need to build that capital, and being honest in that place is okay, because then you develop those relationships, because you will eventually have a need. You are growing. But being honest is tough. So before you have the need for capital, develop those relationships, and then that goes with network like a day job. And that would be it.
Okay, thank you. What did they say?
Relationship.
Huh?
Relationship and resources. That's what I
Huh? Okay, what else?
Mentors, business mentors.
Uh-huh. There's one of mine right here. He just got here.
Invest in yourself. Plan.
And we had that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
And know your personal brand. Know
Very good. I have at least 10 layers of brain that I peel off. Okay? And I always smell good. If you're in the elevator with me, I can tell you what my business is, but I like Coco Chanel said, I leave a trail. So, and it's a good one. That you have to find for yourself. But that helps sustain you. Now, what's going to make you good at being an employer? I need you guys to jump in here too.
The economy's been rough, so it's been tough on not just women, but everybody. So we're in a time when I see women we're focused on women. Everywhere I look, there's a lot of emphasis on that. Have courage. You are your own philosopher. You take yourself with you everywhere you go, but don't forget to take your friends too. Men have always been able to take their friends and their resources with them. We've got to do that too. We get to choose how we run our lives and our businesses, and it's completely different than the way our counterparts have been doing it. We have many facets that we juggle during our day, and we come to it with a completely different perspective than our counterparts do. So it's something new that everybody's beginning to focus on. So I want to say to you, be your authentic self, whoever that is. Discover who you are and make yourself interesting to other people. That's the dynamic that is you, that is uniquely you. Then from there, you take what your focus is and you figure out what your competitors are doing, and you be innovative with what you're going to do. You look at what they're doing, but you go and you say, okay, that doesn't really work for me. So you make it work for you. And last, and we've heard it from everybody, be persistent. Everybody that comes to the table thinks they're qualified. Expect to win. Go in with an attitude that you know what you're doing, and you're going to prove to somebody that you can do it. The only way you learn is by doing. You're going to make some mistakes, but the next time you do it, you'll do it better. You may not win the commission, you may not win the job, but you'll figure out what you didn't do. Thank you, Ben.
Start small.
Very good.
Make yourself a list. This is not a new idea. This comes from the E-Myth Revisited. If you haven't read that book, read it 6 times. Make a list of the things that need to be done in your business, and then rank that list in how much you hate doing that thing. And at the very top of that list is the thing you hate the absolute most, and the minute that you find the money to even be able to outsource one teeny piece of that thing that you hate, start by outsourcing it. Get yourself a part-time bookkeeper if that's the thing you hate. Eventually grow up to an accountant if that's the thing that you hate. And eventually outsource yourself a CFO service if that's the thing you hate. And eventually as you free up more of your time to spend time building your business and becoming an employer, you will eventually become an employer. And you will be able to, even through outsourcing and eventually by bringing it in-house when you get big enough to afford it in-house, build your role as an employer. And don't just be a business that you're working on the business or in the business every single day. Work on it as well. And that you have to have time to do. So start outsourcing those little things.
Will come from the HR angle. It's all about hiring, making sure you've got the right person in the right seat on the bus. So you've got to use, what we use is behavioral-based competencies. You figure out a job description, what you want that person to do, figure out what competencies or what qualities they need to perform that, and then hire from that, from their responses to that. So that's very important because sometimes you may have the right person, but they may not be in the right role.
The first thing I ever do.
A new idea, this comes from the E-Myth Revisited. If you haven't read that book, read it 6 times. Make a list of the things that need to be done in your business, and then rank that list in how much you hate doing that thing. And at the very top of that list is the thing you hate the absolute most, and the minute that you find the money to even be able to outsource one teeny piece of that thing that you hate, start by outsourcing it. Get yourself a part-time bookkeeper if that's the thing you hate. Eventually grow up to an accountant if that's the thing that you hate. And eventually outsource yourself a CFO service if that's the thing you hate. And eventually, as you free up more of your time to spend time building your business and becoming an employer, you will eventually become an employer. And you will be able to, even through outsourcing and eventually by bringing it in-house when you get big enough to afford it in-house, build your role as an employer. And don't just be a business that you're working on the business or in the business every single day. Work on it as well. And that you have to have time to do. So start outsourcing those little things.
Excuse me.
So,
All right.
that's the main thing, is you can't operate out of fear. You've got to be ahead of the curve.
And ask for help. And ask for help. Okay, question 2. What specific support do you think community resources such as business, professional organizations, elected officials, churches and religious organizations, educational and health institutions, and community businesses, all of the above, can lend to Tennessee women business owners to help us achieve economic prosperity and economic parity via government, corporate, and other types of contract opportunities? That's a big question. Okay, let's break it down. Okay. Using, that support network of all those things out there in the community. We've heard on the first panel, the government side of this. What resources are out there that you would recommend? And, let's break it into, for the sake of time, 3 things that you, top of mind, would recommend to women that they access in terms of making the Tennessee parity and prosperity for women business owners grow.
I know that hit on church in that question too, which I go to church to worship the Lord first and foremost, but it is a place of fellowship and gathering. So even if your church brings people together, go, right? I mean, that is a great place to go for that. The same mindset, on that same mindset topic, you have to get with people who don't have your mindset as well. So initially starting out, I started my business and then I wasn't really responsible for anything in the family. And then in 2009, I became the sole breadwinner and had to support 5 kids by myself very fast. And at that point, I had barely started my feelers and my networking feelers, and I jumped into every organization head first as much as I could. That included cable, which was huge. That included meeting people in NAWBO. That included having fun with bankers and Lane. everything that I could do was, you have to jump into everything, and then the piece of advice by jumping into everything is pick the things that will help you most, but also where you feel like you can help others. So time management is really important. There are 1,000 organizations in Nashville that you could join. Southeast Business Forums, again, Cable. I can't say enough about Cable in terms of just getting to know women and joining groups, but time management, you can't do every group, pick 2. And then really invest your time in those 2. Join boards, help with community events, etc. But yeah.
One of the things I thought about was some of the, I don't know if you have this in Nashville, but the meetup groups. That's a place where you might be able to find different women's groups to network and develop some of those relationships that will help you to grow your business. A lot of people don't think about meetup because a lot of people think meetup is a place where you just go and have fun. But I've noticed that there's a lot more women's groups. I've even got our group in Memphis on Meetup, and that's how we're gaining more attention from other professional organizations. The other thing is if you can get into some kind of webinars. I'm big on technology. The phone is my friend. But webinars, that's another place to learn more and more about other business topics. Something like this would be a good thing to have as a webinar or that type of thing. And then, again, the business, women's professional organizations. It may be, if you're an attorney, it might be I know there's some organizations for female lawyers. It could be, you might need to look into your profession, whatever it is your business is doing. There may be a professional organization that you need to attend just for that, because you're gonna need more support in whatever it is that you're doing.
Okay. One size does not fit all. That's first. You're going to need to make it in life. You're going to need somebody to be a sponsor that's an advocate for you. You're going to need a mentor, somebody that you can go to tell your worst nightmare to, and they can help you weather that storm. And then you're going to need a network of friends to be with as you go through, and you want to take them with you. You've got to make a friend of your greatest competitor and try to figure out what they're doing that's beating you. So seek those people out, emulate what they're doing, watch, even to the point of the way they pick up their pens sometimes can be helpful to us as women, particularly if you're moving into a realm that's mainly male dominated. It helps if you've got somebody on the inside that's shepherding you. And that's, each discipline has a network, and back to what everybody's saying, there are so many different avenues, but you've got to do your research, you have to know your market, you've got to be smarter than the next guy.
Okay, Kimble.
Look at what you really need to figure out where you're going to fit in. I have a motto: be more interested than you are interesting. Fit in where you're very interested. So if what you're looking for, and I'll share some women's organizations in Nashville. You're a construction company in Nashville and you want to have feet on the street and you want to knock on doors and have people understand that you can be involved with the construction industry, there's an organization called Women in Networking and Construction. They literally go out and knock on doors at job sites and provide information about these women-owned subcontractors that can support the construction industry. They get a lot of contracts from that. You are a business owner and you have business problems to fix. There is NAWBO. NAWBO's entire structure of how they run their meetings is not a social networking event. It is fixing a business problem in a safe and private environment of membership that shares each other's problems and stories on how to fix your business. They have a thing called NAWBO Business University every year that specifically addresses things like free tools to grow your business, ways to grow your CRM resources on very little money or bootstrapping. Last year we did a forum on winning government contracts, state, local, and nationally. Then you have Cable, which is a very large organization of women connecting women. I am a member of all three of these organizations, and they all serve a different need. But they are all very valuable to be a part of. And then one fourth that I will throw in there, if you are an entrepreneur and you would like support in building your P&Ls, your financial resources, and actually help getting investors, join the EC, the Entrepreneur Center. They are a hugely valuable resource for them.
It's all about enlarging your circle, back to the whole relationships thing. So of course I'm active in the Women's Caucus, and we partner with Martha's group, the Business and Professional Women, for our annual Day on the Hill. So even if you're in a women's group, just that collaboration enlarges your circle. If you're in a sorority, that enlarges your circle. I am a member of the Tennessee Bar Association, and they have a leadership program. And so I'm a 2014 graduate of their leadership law program. So that enlarges your circle. So just always look to enlarge your circle.
Okay, we're going to move on to the next question. Okay, in Tennessee, with women-owned businesses generating just 13.3% of the revenue male-owned businesses generate, and only 15% of the number of employees male-owned businesses employ, what are the top three, please, we got time crunch, top three reasons you think these disparities in business profitability and employer status continue to exist in this state? In other words, give us top three reasons why there is a disparity in cash and people in women-owned businesses.
I can't speak to the disparity of cash, but I'll speak to the disparity of people. Women have to go to the table and ask for the work. You have to have the courage to walk up to the table. Then when you get there, you have to speak, and then if they don't listen to you, you raise your hand and you speak again and again until finally they listen to you. It's persistence, persistence, persistence. Assume that you know what you're doing. Make sure that you've got your stuff in order, but you just gotta go to the playground
And kick some dirt.
and kick some dirt. Yeah.
Martha?
Well, when I first read that question, the first thing that came to mind to me was fear, and it kind of follows up with what she's saying. I think we, as a gender, tend to be more fearful of doing exactly what she's saying. So you have to get away from the fear, and you have to put on your big girl pants and, like she says, go up to the table and ask and ask and ask and be persistent.
I echo what both of these ladies have said. I think the fear of rejection, the lack of confidence, I think those all play a role.
10 years ago, do you know how many touches it took to actually get a customer, to build your business? It was 7 touches. You know how many touches it is now?
20.
23.
Yeah.
Be persistent. And I wrote down here for my second one, we don't ask.
Right.
And then, when they say no, and you realize that you're being shut out by some network that you're not a part of, put your big girl panties on and go build your own network.
Yeah, that's right.
Because everyone in this room can build each other's businesses. If we all just teamed up and built each other's businesses, we'd be in great shape.
Actually, that's what NAWBO does. They will take you by the hand and say, what do you need? And they will help you build your network of significance. If you don't know who to go to, they'll help you know who to go to.
Well, I speak for me on this, honestly. I have heard a lot of no's. I've had many, many doors slammed. I have had someone very close to me have a very epic fail in integrity, and all of those things have led me, if I hear a no, who I am is not what I do. It goes beyond that. So for me, know your value, know your purpose. For me, it comes from, if I have a door slammed in my face, or if I make a mistake, or if I fail, I know who I am in the Lord. So for me, that's the most important thing that I have. My faith is what grounds me. So no matter what happens around me, is that My husband has an epic fail, my kids have an epic fail. I go into a seminar and just absolutely suck. I know that I know who I am in the Lord. I know that I really can't fail, right? You're going to fail. Know who you are. Get up. I cannot get up in and of myself. I cannot pull my own bootstraps up. I cannot do that myself. So having people around me to help me do that, but also knowing your value, your purpose, why you're here, so that when your business fails or you have a moment of failure, which you will, you are able to then go, it doesn't matter. That's not who I am. That's just what I do. And that works for me.
Young lady, you must have had cancer, that's why you don't have any hair. We don't hire people that we can't count on because you're gonna be sick. Guess who heard that? Okay. Now, what did I say? I said, really? I said, you know what you just said to me is totally against the law.
Would you speak into the microphone?
And I'm white for sound. And I said, and what I didn't capture, the talent I can bring from my hometown in Chicago will make you repeat it. I said, how dare you talk to me that way? Okay, this came in this state from a major employer. And I was calling on this employer for a client. Had nothing to do with me, but he didn't know that. He ought to be glad this and this didn't come across his face. Okay? Part of what I see in this state is this. From you ladies. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that word, but there's no power in it. Women have power. So just remember what they said. But with rejection, you get up, however you have to climb, dust yourself off, and as my acupuncturist told me yesterday, stay away from, she's changing, low quality people. They stupid.
That's probably the best advice.
Right. Now this woman has been practicing for 30 years. She saved my life when everybody else told me I was gonna die. So what I'm saying is I believed in her. That's how she got me. So that's what they're basically saying to you. Believe in yourself. You're gonna screw up. Huh? So you get to talk about it later. And laugh over a glass of wine. Okay. I think we're gonna have to quickly roll. Okay. Is there anything else that you ladies, quickly, because I got a panel rating, and Diane, you're not going first. I'm gonna start at that end, Mila. One wind-up comment.
Fear's big. It's a motivating factor, but man, it's tough. I want to get preachy again, and then someone's going to throw a book at me. But fear's big. I've heard it a couple of times up and down the panel. Let it motivate you. Please don't let it stop you. There's so many opportunities that I've missed along the way that I could have had if I just walked in the door again. If someone says no, go back in that door. And people work with people that they like. Relationships are more important. Relationships are more important than anything. Get to know people. If there's a piece of business advice that you want to give somebody, yet you see them having a personal struggle or a personal hard time, and you see that, yet you're so involved in what you're doing with business that you miss the opportunity to go, are you okay? Is there something going on with you that I can help you with personally? If you miss that opportunity because you're so engaged in business and what I want, then you miss the opportunity to do what you were created to do, and that is to build a network with other people and help build them up.
The one thing that I would say is listen to Mila say something about failure. And in my head, I'm going, no failure, no failure. You don't plan to fail, you plan to succeed, but failure should be removed from your vocabulary. If you get to the point where you think it's failure, it's a minor defeat. It's not a failure, it's a minor defeat. It keeps you more positive and keeps your motivation and your momentum going. But don't ever let failure be in your vocabulary.
See, we're huggers.
We are, I'm definitely a hugger. All right, I've got a piece of advice for you when you're feeling really, really low. Imagine a mountain range. You're at the top of that mountain. You want to get to another mountain? You got to go down. The valley's a part of the journey.
I told you she got these points here, you know?
That's not my quote. You want a good book? Read Bend, Not Break by Ping Fu. She was this year's Enterprising Woman of the Year. And she said that.
Right, and it's all about relationships. I can't stress that enough. And embrace the concept of failing forward, as leadership author John Maxwell. Because we all will fail at some point in time, but look at it as a growth opportunity.
You need to support verbally each other, to your corporate clients, to your partners, and to the other women that you will hire. Be encouraging to them, encourage them to participate, you participate. We need to encourage each other outside of church and in the workplace so that when you look across the room, you're able to recognize who your friends are. Recognize the achievements of your fellow women. That's the best way to show off to the world who we are, is give them a certificate.